Hi everyone. So we're gonna do our presentation on temperament and difficult child. We have Nancy here, myself and Cindy.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go to the next slide. Oh, does it let me go to the next slide? Okay. So today we'll be discussing temperament, how it develops and changes throughout our development, and the recent fascination with a difficult child in the last decade. So what is temperament? There is three different types of temperament. So early appearing, the definition of temperament is early appearing stable individuals, difference in reactivity and self-regulation. So what is reactivity? It refers to quickness and intensity of emotional arousal, attention, and moral activity. Self-regulation, as we have seen, refers to strategies that modify that reaction, and effort control is the capacity to voluntarily suppress a dominant response in order to plan and execute a more adaptive response, according to Berg, pages 191. But used to show effectively in child, can focus, shift attention, and manage negative emotions. So three types of temperament. The three main types of temperament are based on Thomas and Chase model of temperament. We found this in Berg. So the easy child, which is 40%, is generally cheerful and adaptive and easy to new experience. And then the difficult child, which is what we're gonna focus on today, is at 10%. It's regular in daily routines, is slow to accept new experience, and tends to react negatively and intensely. The slow to warm child, which is the 15%, is inactive, slow, mild, low-key reactions to environment stimuli, and is negative in mood and adjusts slowly to new experiences. Measurements of temperament. So often assessed through.
Isn't that my slide?
Oh, that's your slide.
Sorry, I just had some notes about it. All right, so measurement of temperament. Measurement of temperaments often assessed through like interviews or questionnaires that are sent out to parents. This can oftentimes lead to like bias though, since, you know, parents have their own individual views of their child and whatnot. So having observation in a child's home or in a lab conducted by like a researcher removes that possible bias. Most of the neurobiological research focuses on the two extremes. So inhibited children, which are shy children, or uninhibited children, which are social children. And in the home, researchers find it difficult to observe certain emotions, such as frustration. So doing that in a lab or somewhere maybe the child isn't as comfortable will kind of help bring out more of those negative emotions that they wanted to focus on. And then the stability of temperament. So the stability of temperament is low in infancy and toddlerhood, and then starts to become moderate from about the preschool years on. Temperament develops with age, which is why it's not necessarily stable throughout childhood. You can kind of adjust or influence temperament by like the way you parent, or certain life events can also affect that. Long-term prediction of temperament is usually more valid after the age of 3. For example, young children with either fearful or irritable temperaments who experience patient, supportive, and warm parenting will gain the most capacity in order to be able to manage their emotions. While if they're exposed to negative or unresponsive parenting, these children will often end up with low effortful control.
Okay, so we chose this video that demonstrates a difficult child and what it is defined as. So we have a quote in here that says, "The difficult child has sparked the most interest because it places children at high risk of adjustment, both excited withdrawal and aggressive behavior in early and mild childhood." Okay, so we're just gonna play the video. And let me know if you can hear this.
You don't have to lower. Don't forget you left those things out. We're gonna throw it in the trash can. I don't have any more peaches. Sit down. These are dirty. I don't have any more peaches. Would you like some banana? Zachary, Brianna, and Mike, here is. I'm sorry, Joshua, I didn't throw them on the floor. They're dirty. No, Josh, they're dirty. Now you eat your peaches. It's okay, Brittany. Joshua, would you like to get up and have a banana? Miss Leslie, since you're here, Joshua. Huh? I'll take him to the shed then, okay. Joshua, you wanna get up and have a banana or do you wanna go back to the classroom? Okay, we're going back to the classroom. I'm sorry that you just fell on the floor. I'm sorry that you didn't get a nap. Joshua, that really hurt.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This was an example of what a difficult child may look. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to the next slide. What a difficult child can be, as you can see, is very like fast to arousal and reaction. And doesn't adapt as quickly to like emotions or environment. Genetic influences. So twin studies using parenting rating the most common used temperament measuring infancy and childhood shows strong evidence of genetic influence on temperament across a wide range of temperament dimensions such as emotional activity, shyness, sociability, attention, persistence, approach, adaptability, distress, positive, affective, and negative affective. So NC code twins constantly outperform DZ. So genetic influence context. So although inheritance estimates vary from sample to sample, they generally fall within the range of 0.2 to 0.6, implying that genetic difference between individuals account for approximately 20 to 60% of the variability of temperament within a population. There is no consistent patterns to differentiate heritability across dimensions with a few exceptions, for example, stability and rhythmicity, which shows little genetic influence. So what are the traits passed down genetically? Reactivity, is susceptibility, I think is how you pronounce that word, and positive to negatively emotionally. Physiological differences are evident in different temperaments as well. So in conclusion, yes, there is some genetics of temperament that are passed down from parents to child, and this can be active as the child grows and depending on the environment that the child grows in. And so Nancy is gonna go more in depth about environment.
So environmental influences. So the environment can facilitate or discourage interactions among people, including children. So what exactly is an environmental influence? So the field of psychology defines the term environment broadly. It encompasses natural environments, social settings, built environments, learning environments, and informational environments. So this is a quote I got directly from the book. So although genetic influences on temperament are clear, environment is also powerful. Hereditary and environment often jointly contribute to temperament, as Jacqueline explained. So 40 to 80% of personality traits are linked to environmental factors: nutrition, quality of care, cultural variations, gender stereotyping, parental distinction among siblings, etc. They all affect a child's temperament. So socioeconomic status. So if you are, or if a child is from a low socioeconomic status, they are more likely to have emotional and behavioral problems. And if they are from a high socioeconomic status, and young individuals, higher family socioeconomic status is associated with better cognitive and memory functions, including better working memory, executive function, language and literacy abilities, and memory functions.
So the goodness of fit model, as we discussed a little bit in class already, Thomas and Chess created this model back in about 1977, explaining how temperament and environment can work together in order to create favorable outcomes. Goodness of fit involves creating child rearing environments that recognize each child's temperament while simultaneously encouraging more adaptive functioning. So just trying to improve those, fine tune those skills. When looking at specifically difficult children, they often experience parenting that fits poorly with their disposition. Starting as infants, they receive less sensitive caregiving than easy children. Like if they cry a lot or whatnot, parents become frustrated and may not even realize that they're in turn possibly making the situation worse. And then by the time they reach age 2, their parents generally are using angry discipline and punishment. This undermines effortful control. So then children will continue to react negatively, defiant, or disobedient, and then the cycle just continues. So Thomas and Chess also created 9 dimensions of temperament. They are activity, regularity, initial reaction, adaptability, intensity, mood, distractibility, attention span, and sensory threshold. And then these next 2 slides just kind of go a little bit more into detail about their dimensions of temperament. I won't talk about it too much, but mostly these 2 first columns, the 2 months and the 2 years, pertain most to what we are examining. So like kids with a high activity level generally will have kind of a maybe a more negative effect on their temperament. They have a lot of energy, stuff like that. And then kids with a lower activity level are usually a little bit maybe easier to deal with, but they may not have as high of those reaction times and stuff like that. And then the same goes for the rest on that side. The next one. And then these ones go through the next 5, and it's just the same thing on there, going a little bit more into detail, such as adaptability. When a child is adaptive, say at 2 months, the child that they were examining was passive during their first bath and now enjoys bathing. And if they're not very adaptive, they're still very like startled by the feel or the temperature of the water and whatnot, and like just resists any type of like hygiene stuff. So Mary Rothbart created a model of temperament that was influenced by Thomas and Chess's 9 dimensions of temperament, which is why I thought it was important to mention. This is the most influential model of temperament today. It contains of 6 models and represents 3 underlying components. The first one is emotion, which deals with fearful distress, irritable distress, and positive affect, as shown also in that model on the slide. The second one is attention, which deals with attention span and persistence. And then the third one is action, which deals with activity level. So basically it just kind of deals with the 2 extremes from these 3 underlying components and placing children in those and examining them.
So the development of shyness and sociability in children. So shyness is a novel excitement which excites the amygdala in connection to the prefrontal cortex and sympathetic nervous system. So for example, these are things that physically happen to the body. So higher heart rate, it speeds up in unfamiliar situations. The saliva concentration is higher in the mouth. During stressful situations, the blood pressure rises, your pupils dilate, your fingertips get cool. So greater EEG activity in the right frontal lobe is associated with negative emotion, such as temperament. So sociability, the same level of stimulus creates minimal neural excitation, so slower heart rate and lower blood pressure. So it is believed that most shy children develop shyness because of the interactions with attachment of parents. So authoritarian and overprotective parents tend to have shy children due to this. So how exactly does shyness and sociability affect temperament? So the measure of shyness has shown that they are caused by environmental variances. Some of the same environmental factors as low socioeconomic status children. When temperament is occurring, the same greater EEG activity in the frontal lobe is associated with, which is associated with negative emotions occurs. So negative affect is generally conceptualized as fear, shyness, anxiety, sadness, anger, discomfort, or general distress proneness. So this all has the same effect in the brain. So temperament and personality development. According to Bowlby's attachment theory, children need to develop a meaningful relationship with at least one primary caregiver for normal social and emotional development. Temperament is influenced by parental relationships and attachments. Too much attachment to a parent leads to abnormal social and emotional development, thus leading to temperament.
So now we're going to discuss some positive parenting practices in order to influence a healthy temperament. So there's a quote from Burke on page 195 that says, if a child's disposition interferes with learning or getting along with others, adults must gently but consistently counteract the child's maladaptive style. So basically here, just talking about that consistency is really key when you're trying to kind of shape temperament. There's nothing more confusing than having like, different types of punishment or being angry about something one day and then kind of letting it go the next. That just sends like the wrong message to the child. And when parents are positive and sensitive, which helps infants and toddlers, especially those who are very emotionally reactive, this regulates emotion and difficultness will decline by those toddler years, so age 2 or 3. So so authoritarian and permissive parenting have a negative effect on behavior, while authoritative parenting plays a positive role. Parental warmth gives rise to more children positive emotionality, and that warmth, support, affection, and firm control, so discipline, have both been identified as increasingly important in the development of a child's temperament. And then last, I'm just going to discuss some of the strategies we discussed in class on Siegel. A couple strategies that are proven to be somewhat helpful with tantrums and temperament are the whole brain strategy number 1, connect and redirect. So the first step in this is to connect with the right brain. So acknowledge, validate feelings and emotions, and using a warm, nurturing tone while you're doing that. And then you'll redirect with the left. So after the child has had time to calm down a little bit, you can give like a logical explanation or some solution to the problem in order to kind of help that child connect those two sides of their brain. And then the second strategy is the name it to tame it. So essentially you have the child retell the painful or fearful experience in order to connect or integrate those two sides of the brain and to make sense of what happened. You can do this by like asking them questions and just kind of trying to get them to tell you something in a more calm way. This usually will also kind of calm the child down and calm their emotions a little bit. So in conclusion, it's important to recognize that each child has different needs when it comes with dealing with tantrums and temperament. Studies by Thomas and Chess, Rothbard, Karp, Siegel, and so many more have provided us with lots of valuable insight in order to teach our younger generations how to deal with their emotions in a healthy way and how we as adults can influence healthy temperament in children. And also, of course, helps parents deal with tantrums and whatnot. And that is it.